Hello everyone, it is the Sci-Fi Show here, and well, today we are going to be looking at this debate between a man called, his moniker is You're Wrong, and he debated with Idazmi7. So, I'm going to be going through this, but first I just wanted to talk about the direction my channel is going in, and I do plan on making some more synopsis videos. And I think I'll be making the next synopsis video on the Babylon 5 universe. I'm not sure about that though. But okay, let's get back into this. So, You're Wrong says, he's talking, and he says, I don't think he believes it, at least not anymore. And this is him talking about Idazmi7, and because I asked, well, do you think he believes, that Star Trek could honestly beat Star Wars? And he says no. His theory is that he believed it at first, so he decided to start making these videos. Eventually, however, he realized he's wrong, but at this point he has multiple videos on the subject and hundreds of supporters who believe almost everything he says. Now he's too deep in to admit his mistake by this point, so all they can do is deny Disney's canon policy, except when it suits him, and twist the remaining evidence so it supports his point more. Yeah, it's believable. It's a very believable hypothesis because at the time when Disney chopped off the expanded universe, there was truly only evidence for megaton range firepower. So, yeah, he could definitely have made a good argument, but now it's completely gone. It's been completely cleared. So, and now all he can do now is just deny Disney canon policy. And here are two of his conversations, and this was on his video, Idazmi's video, Star Trek vs. Star Wars, The Clone Wars, and an argument about cloaking devices in the canon policy. And You're Wrong says, in the cloaking section, I would like to point out that Star Wars does have better cloaking devices than the one shown in this video. I'm guessing the one shown in this video was the cloaking device from Cat and Mouse. That was simply the prototype by the Imperial era. This prototype stealth ship was perfected, and Grand Moff Tarkin used the perfect version as his personal starship. This ship could not be detected in any way, could fire while cloaked, could have shields up while cloaked, and could jump to hyperspace while cloaked. Look it up, it's called the Hyperion Space. What I want to know is, are the turbo lasers cloaked? I don't think the turbo lasers are cloaked. Although it would be awesome if they were. But, back to the point. Well, when they say it's the prototype in the episode, I would like to point out, it's merely the prototype because it's the smallest one they have. There are cloak ships they have that are even bigger, and those are not prototypes. Those have been pretty much perfected. And it would seem they can fire while not cloaked. I don't know why the smaller ship can't fire while not cloaked. Or can't fire while cloaked. I can't think of any reason. I think Wong was talking about this, and he made a good point that, you would have to deal with the energy. And when you're cloaked, you can't emit any energy, so the energy that's in the ship starts to, build up as it gets generated. Heat gets produced from the bodies. It starts to heat up inside. And I think their solution was, the ship had a magnetic field, and I don't know if they were using that to deposit their waste energy. Either that or just, Star Wars scanners are that good they can find magnetic field like that. And Admiral Trench, I think his name was just able to exploit that. But it looks like that weakness was stopped. And Idazmi7 says, your chosen avatar put some doubt into your motives right off the bat. And in any case, has the cloaking device been seen anywhere else in a movie perhaps? It's similar to nearly everyone in Star Trek has the cloak he describes. Sounds like a total ripoff of the scimitar's cloak from Star Trek Nemesis, and not something that would appear anywhere near the canon. Okay, I don't think either Star Wars or Star Trek came up with cloaking devices. Although I could be wrong. But I don't think Star Trek was the one who came up with cloaking devices, but okay. Let's go on. I mean, it is canon because let's look up the Carrion Spike. Carrion Spike, and there we are. Carrion Spike. Is it canon? Canon articles. Ah, here, it is canon. Right there. Bada bing, bada boom. Good, good. Let's see what else it says about it. It's a Corvette, personal starship of Moff Tarkin, based off the design. Yeah, it does look like it. It was used in many assaults, captured. Later, the ship was abandoned. Trailer. Hyperdrive Class 1 hyperdrive. Oh. And sources insider revealed, and its appearance in Catalysta Rogue One novel. So it is canon. Because as we've already seen, yeah, Catalyst is canon. If it appears in Catalyst, it is canon. Okay, good. And You're Wrong replies with your chosen avatar. Put some doubt into the oh, no, that's what Idazmi said. Notice also that the Star Destroyer is also taking significant damage in the picture. Enterprise is hardly being shot to bits unless you're suggesting one not so large explosion would destroy a Federation starship. And this comment is very ironic considering your own icon, which he might have changed it, but I think it's the Enterprise. And it's in the kind of novel Star Wars Tarkin and Poe Dameron, and makes a brief appearance in Star Wars Catalyst. The ship didn't exist in Legends. And Idazmi replies with, in the Star Wars universe, such a device would make any armored ship overpowered to the point of being unbeatable, and thus has never appeared in canon. The comics and spin-off books aren't canon, the films are. No, as we've already discussed, yeah, I've shown this in other videos, they are canon. This, in addition to the fact that Tarkin is the only person with such a cloak, and thus it would have no real impact on the conflict. Well, I mean, if they can make one, they can probably make others. If they can make two, they can probably make others. If they can make two and an unspecified number of bigger ships with cloaking devices, they could probably make others. So, yeah. Novels published past Disney acquisition are created canonical. I could post a multitude of links that prove my position. I'm not going to do it right now. I'm replying on my phone. It does mean I could post a multitude of links that prove my position. Try finding a link from Star Wars or Disney .com that supports you. I can wait. Star Wars. We've set to bring Star Wars back to the big screen through games, books, and comics. Bada bing, bada boom. That's where it is. Future of interconnected storytelling will allow fans to explore the galaxy in ways, or in deeper ways than ever before. In addition, Wikipedia article on Star Wars canon / film, Star Wars canon timeline, Wikipedia, Screen Rants, and Lucasfilm's own description of the canon novel New Dawn, our very first canon novel, set solidly in the legendary dark times. We'll introduce our readers to two main characters from the upcoming Star Wars Rebels, Kanan Jarrus and Harrison Duel. It'll feature jacket art. Okay, blah blah blah. And yeah, so they are canonical. Idazmi7 replies with, Wikipedia is not a reference because anyone can edit it and it changes. Wikipedia has the same problem. /film and Screen Rant are known for the only credible sources you have there are StarWars.com. I mean, I'd call Lucasfilm a credible source. But, okay. And besides, even if one source is correct, then that means it's correct. You've already done this. There's all these extra evidences are just like killing a corpse, or just beating a dead horse. As for your Star Wars link, it's pure claptrap. We aren't attempting to make a unified canon. If they were, we would have seen Tarkin's cloaked ship in Rogue One, or at least a mention of it. It's cloaked. And then You're Wrong replies with, if they're so wrong, why don't you edit them yourself? And he says, /film and screenwriter. You are as well. If you look up your name on Google, yeah. I think there's this guy, Meatcrap Musings, and he's posted his debates with Idazmi, just absolutely owns him. You know what I'm saying? That talk of connected storytelling is pure claptrap. They aren't even attempting to make a unified canon. If they were, we would have seen Tarkin's cloaked ship in Rogue One, or at least a mention of it. And he replies, carrying Spike was destroyed before Rogue One and rebuilt after Return of the Jedi. Also, the rebellion had no idea it ever existed, so we wouldn't have heard or seen about it in Rogue One. Also, one of the Rebels Recon episode about Warhead, at about 3 minutes and 45 seconds into the video, Pablo Hidalgo, the head of the Lucasfilm story group, answers a truckload of continuity questions from fans. He references upcoming books, the comic Star Wars Darth Vader, the Aftermath trilogy, so they are definitely canon. And we do see evidence that they're trying to make a unified canon, because we see orbital foundries over Geonosis and the Ghosts of Geonosis, the Honorable Ones, Nova Lothal, and the Rebels Season 4 trailer, which is completely consistent with what is described in the Rogue One Catalyst. The novel Star Wars Thrawn is 100% consistent with the story of Rebels Season 3. It also describes his briefly mentioned in Rebels' victory at Bataan. And he says, I'm going to say this bluntly, you are literally the only person I've ever heard deny that the Mickey EU is canon. Actually, he's not. There's also a few other peoples like John Boggs and that other girl. I can't remember her name. Also, it doesn't matter whether you think it should be canon, it only matters that Disney says it is. Please show me an actual instance of a storyline inconsistency in the new continuity, or even a source that supports you, and then I'll consider your point of view. How did you put it? Oh yes, I can wait. It's brilliant right there. And he never got around to replying to that last one. I like that. I like that. This one is on his video Imperator Star Destroyer, which I made a video on, under a Puppet account. Note, this is one of his most ridiculous videos, and that's saying a lot. Idazmi7, sorry, but the official Star Wars website doesn't agree with your size assessment. StarWars.com, Data Bank, Imperial Star Destroyer. I gotta see this. I'm sorry, I gotta see this. Let's paste this together. This is the Star Wars official website, Imperial Star Destroyer. What does that say? Dimensions. Length 1,600 meters. Well, looks like someone is wrong, and that someone is Idazmi7. It's beautiful. Beautiful. And, okay, it doesn't look like there's anything else interesting here. I believe the Star Wars thing on the second Death Star puts its width at 900 kilometers. So, I had a debate with John Boggs about that. So, I'm not sure though. They might have changed it. As you said yourself, the Falcon's size is inconsistent and therefore an unreliable scaling tool. That is true. Second, using an offhand quote from a special effects guy and showing real-life radar looks similar to the globes doesn't prove it's a radar dome. It looks far more like an in-universe shield generator to me. Click. Control V. Shield generators. Oh yeah, look. It's the same picture as I showed in my earlier video, but it gets the point across in case you haven't seen it. Those are shield generators. Brilliant. So, yeah. And third, your firepower conclusions seem way off. Yes, you are correct on one thing. The asteroids certainly weren't turned entirely to vapor, as silicates have very poor thermal conductivity, even given the unspecified iron content. Thermal conductivity through the asteroid's mass is impossible because okay, I'm not. This isn't my strong suit. I usually just do a lot of research and then just spew that on the internet. But yeah, I'm not good at talking about physics and stuff. The effect would be more of an explosive effect, with a tiny area being superheated and a concussive shock wave moving out and shattering through the asteroid. However, in order to shatter these asteroids so quickly, these fragments would have had to move through the rest of the asteroid at hundreds of meters per second. The question of whether that asteroid was heated or shattered is therefore irrelevant, because the act of shattering at such great speed would create so much energy that the resulting material would be superheated anyways. Also, claiming no prefix tons for the beam weapons and megatons for the bomb weapons makes no in-universe sense. If this were true, why use the beams at all? Other than the ammunition taking up less room, I can't think of any reason to choose 100-ton beams over multi-megaton bombs. And if this is the only reason, then I think the benefits of the trade-off far outweigh the downsides. Last, in relation to firepower, in the canon novel Star Wars Wrong by Timothy Zahn, single turbo laser shots are shown to cause tsunami-scale waves. Extremely impressive. Plants them at the teraton range, or at least high gigatons. I have no idea what that link is to. For example, the 2011 Tohoku earthquake killed more than 15,000 people in Japan. Oh, that killed more than 15,000 people in Japan. Released about 9,320 megatons of TNT energy. That's hundreds of million times greater than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima, and roughly 163,000 times greater than the Soviet Union star bomb, which is the most powerful nuclear detonation in history, or 9.32 teratons. Now, I think Star Wars firepower is probably more in the 100 teraton range, give or take like 25 teratons. That's what I say. Except for the smaller guns. No, I'm pretty sure your response will be the books aren't canon and never will be. However, that's incorrect. The legendary expanded universe, and we've already seen this. Screen the first canon, and yeah, we've already seen this. Idazmi deleted the entire conversation after this. I am not surprised. I'll recap what Idazmi said in the discussion. More like nuclear war. I don't get that. He never got around to refuting the asteroids argument. Replied with the same BS books aren't canon that Idazmi's blank response to arguments like this. When asked for inconsistencies, used inconsistencies in Rogue One to say there weren't any inconsistencies in Rogue One. There wasn't an inconsistency. It's not mentioned. That doesn't prove anything. Just because it's not mentioned doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Besides, we've seen it in actual canon, so we know it does exist. So, and we also know from actual canon that it was destroyed before Rogue One, so we shouldn't have seen it in Rogue One. So it's not an inconsistency. Used our evidence from Star Wars Rebels. Oh yeah. What he did was he recorded a video of the episode, I can't remember, but it was season 3 finale, I think. Either season 3 or season 2, and Thrawn is firing on the Rebel base. And for those of you, so Idazmi is contradicting himself because he says, here's a bunch of examples from a Disney show that prove my point. Also, your books are invalid because of inconsistencies in Rogue One, making Disney canon unusable, even though there are no inconsistencies in Rogue One. Also, for laughs, spacebattles.com. Plonak is our good friend Idazmi. Okay, let's see this. Control C. Control V. And oh, there's no way for me to show the whole thing. Darn. let's see if I can squeeze this in. Alright. Bada bing, bada boom. The Galactic Empire pre-New Republic era at war with the Rebel Alliance has Death Star 24009 Federation at war with the Klingon Empire. The transphasic torpedoes from Star Trek Voyager Endgame were from 2404 and are less powerful than quantum torpedoes from the same time period. The Federation has perfected quantum slipstream drive rated at 1.5 on the hyperdrive scale, with the exception of the new Odyssey-class starship, which is rated at 1. Personal deflector shields, powered battle armor, healing factor, anti-proton torpedo weapons in all handheld forms, and lightsaber-type weapons are now typical of red shirts and officers alike in combat conditions. Modifier: the Empire is known for using troopers of any kind. The Federation cannot use special artifacts. We will assume the Star Wars galaxy is 8 months travel distance from the Milky Way. Well, that's a long distance. If you're doing, like, either is very, very far away. The Empire outnumbers them 1,000 to 1, and Star Destroyers are still vastly superior to Trek ships. The Federation will bleed them. I'm not sure about that, but the Empire still wins in a straight-up fight. I don't think it even stopped to read the full original post. Can you prove any of what you said? I already specified this is 2409 Federation. They use transphasic torpedoes liberally, and the destructive force far exceeds any firepower the Empire provides. The troops are obviously very well armored. Here's a bit of truth. Anti-protons destroy protons which exist in all known matter. The Omega Force Marine is carrying an anti-proton autocarbon. Okay. Is this canon? I don't think it's canon. It might be canon. I'm not sure, but... And besides, an anti-proton autocarbine would be kind of useless, because, I mean... You know, air, you know, it would get weaker because of air very quickly. That's quite a claim, since transphasic torpedoes have never been quantified, although Trekkies love making stuff up about their attributes because of their made-up and meaningless technobabble name. Like, oh, it's transphasic, that means it phases through everything. I mean, that's if it's transphasic, it probably, well, we know it goes through shields pretty easily, I think. In any event, you're only going to bring on the slightest people bringing up examples and sources that fit their predetermined ideas, while lambasting their opposition for doing the same. We're not talking any truth here. Who cares? The Death Star blows up Earth. The end. It's more like over 10,000 to 1 by member worlds alone. That is true. It goes up by an Asberg degree when you include other planets' industrial capacity. It's just troop strength is a no-brainer. I did not in any way lambast the opposition. Oh, God. I countered a blindly made blanket statement, which had less quantification than transphasic torpedo cloaks. He did not provide those. As for truth, the pictures speak for me. Starfleet has anti-proton torpedoes, personal shields, and combat armor. Did he provide a picture? No, he did not provide any pictures of the transphasic torpedoes or any stuff like that. And he goes, I ask you, where's the line of that? You must prove that combat armor is not armor, the anti-proton torpedo doesn't fire anti-protons, and that the shields don't exist. Well, I mean, they could be just as effective without shooting anti-protons. I think a more effective weapon would be to jacket the anti-protons and then fire them. Like what we see, what's it called? Huzrock ship do? I'm not sure. But it fires jacketed streams of antimatter, and that would be a very effective weapon, at least against unshielded targets. Or even against, if you use matter in your shields, like it seems Star Trek shields use, it would be effective against shields as well. And anti-proton weapons would be effective in space as well, I think. But on the ground, where there's air everywhere, I'm not sure about that. I know the shields don't exist. Well, they do exist. I never said the Empire had no way to counter such things. However, neither you nor the last booster has given me a reason to believe they do have a way to counter them. Okay. Well, for one, we've seen blasters, even handheld pistols, just blowing up areas of like what looks like concrete, just completely demolishing concrete. And we also know that droidekas have similar shields. So it figures if they can defeat their droidekas, they can also defeat Federation shields, because they seem to be pretty similar. Although we haven't really seen how powerful either Federation or droideka shields are. As for the Death Star, it has an easily exploited weakness, torpedo exhaust shaft. I'm curious as to how the Federation is going to exploit it. You continue to miss the point by an absolute mile. It's like you're talking to an invisible person rather than anyone else in this actual thread. Where did Spartan 303 or I bother talking about Star Trek's online armor or infantry weapons or all that or other irrelevant stuff? We didn't, so your bizarre rhetoric about asking where's the line of that, who kissed you lying, and prove that the combat armor is not armor, who said it wasn't, and all this other stuff makes it sound paranoid and crazy. Why did you make this thread? Did you expect a serious engagement on the topic you made, or did you want some sort of veiled excuse to beat Star Wars over the head with stuff made out of a video game, which would never actually change the ultimate outcome of the original post? I mean, Slipstream Drive would definitely sorta come close to evening the odds, although, and the Empire still wins. Slipstream Drive would be useful for harassing undefended outposts, but you gotta remember the Empire's going to do the same thing. So, eventually the Empire is going to catch up to the Federation ships. It just is bleeding them out. But your truth comment, they didn't say that the first time clear. Or did I miss something? I missed a lot. Okay. Great, now you need to prove the Federation can A. Notify a torpedo down the exhaust shafts and save no waste to steal the planets, and B. Actually do so before the Death Star blows up their planets. And he says, you just insisted the outcome is the Empire winning. Well, duh. Gave no reason as to why, or any evaluation, ergo you gave no response. Well, that's because Star Trek firepower is in the megatons, and Imperial firepower is in the teratons. This is a debate forum. If I wanted to beat Star Wars over the head, I'd have picked Warhammer 40k. Yeah. Warhammer 40k beats everyone, pretty much, except in the speed category. They're slow. Also, you said you aren't speaking any truth in your last comment. Is calling you a liar. You are familiar with Star Trek sensors and weapons guidance? Their torpedoes take they're not very agile. I gotta say, they seem to be extremely slow. So I'm going to say. Probably, they probably wouldn't be able to blow up the Death Star, especially if they send out their toy fighters and the toy fighters start intercepting missiles. Where did I insist any such thing? I mean, he kind of did. It's obviously the most likely outcome. Yeah, because math. But that's beside the point. What I was trying to do, and what you still haven't come on to, is that all this wankery about the cool armor the STO guy said is irrelevant to the outcome unless you think war is going to be decided by infantry. Also, you said you aren't speaking any truth here in the last comment. It's calling me a liar. No, it's not. Your reading comprehension just sucks. What I was saying is no one has a monopoly on some sort of truth here when it comes to firepower stuff. Particularly massive economic, industrial, military, and general manpower superiority. And, yep, aren't you another tip? Your truthy gut feeling impression of Star Trek sensors and weapons guidance is no evidence. So what evidence can you bring to the table to support your implication that their sensors and weapons guidance will allow them to A, find the Death Star's weak point before it destroys their strategic planets, and B, exploit it? About your truth, comment and say that the first time, clearly. As for infrastructure, I never saw anything pre-New Republic that was too incredible. Coruscant and Nar Shaddaa are impressive city planets, but the Empire never deployed a truly impressive fleet to destroy the Rebel Alliance, not even at the last battle. Oh, I don't have the space battles. Okay, I can't zoom in on these pictures. But, you can tell it's of the Death Star. In all these images here, the Imperial fleet itself is not too impressive except the Executor. Starfleet, by contrast, both fighters and cruisers are seen there, many of them stated to be 8,000 ships. I don't think so. Starfighters are most of the Galactic Empire's force. They seem to carry the actual impact and effectiveness of the space fleets. After the rebel cruisers moved closer, the Empire lost advantage very quickly. There was no use of cloaking devices. The sensor jamming is overcome by a bit of logic from Lambda, and in the end the jamming only hides one tactical detail. The Death Star shield is still up, and the 27 Imperial fleet is still there. Similar tactics were used in the Dominion Words, with 150 ships trapping 30 stated. I thought you said they had 8,000 ships, not 150. But that's beside the point. Just asking, are we using movies only or fluff from the EU or Star Wars? And the Enterprise had no trouble hitting the 2-meter-long Nomad while under fire with its photon torpedo at 90,000 kilometers. The Death Star exhaust vent is 2 meters wide. Pre-New Republic Galactic Empire, that's movies and novelizations and all the canon from that time period, only from the end of the Clone Wars to the end of the trilogy. You realize that half the pictures you half the pictures you posted show an Imperial fleet that's basically outmasses the entire Starfleet by an order of magnitude in it, right? It's true, the Death Star. I did say it clearly. That should have been crystal clear when I said, in any event, if all you're going to bring on this side is people bringing up examples and sources that fit their predetermined ideas, while lambasting the opposition for doing the same. Did I say people or did I say you? You. Now do you admit you screwed up or not? As for infrastructure, I never saw anything that was too incredible. That's because you don't understand the implications of what you're watching. The Death Star and the Death Star 2 represent massive industrial capacity that the Federation could not ever hope to match. How do you think they built those warships? Magic? But the Empire never deployed a truly impressive fleet to destroy the Rebel Alliance, not even at the last battle. So you neither understand the implications of what you're watching, nor do you bother even paying attention to what you're told in the movie. The Battle of Endor was a trap. The Death Star was deemed sufficient to destroy the entire Rebel fleet, which is why the Imperial fleet didn't even attack. And Mon Mothma outright says, with the Imperial fleet spread throughout the galaxy in a vain effort to engage us, it is relatively unprotected. And he goes, in all the images here, the Imperial fleet is none too impressive except for the Executor. Yeah, because the way to judge military strength is not to look at what the sources say, is to cast your eyeball off a random bunch of ships and go, oh, that means the Imperial fleet is small. The Imperial fleet's area of responsibility is an entire galaxy. That of Starfleet is a tiny pimple, barely 8,000 light years wide. Picture snip. No, you cannot quantify an entire galaxy-spanning Empire's fleet with a couple selective pictures. Please provide dialogue/canonical info about the size of these fleet. Otherwise, your claims on the impressiveness on the fleets are void. I'll say it again, maybe this time you'll understand what I'm asking for. What evidence can you bring to the table to support your implication that their sensors and weapons guidance will allow them to A. find the Death Star's weak point before it blows up their strategic planets, and B. exploit it? Without more information, no comparison can be made. Are the two connected via a wormhole as the ICSN use? Do both parties have access to their WMD technology? Do both sides have dedicated maps of the enemy region? If they presumably just guard each time, then they stare at stare on the other side of the galactic barrier and flip each other off as hard as they can. Empire will win on sheer numbers as they will do more flipping off to the point where even the Mooninites are going to be intimidated. I don't think the Galactic Empire does have a I don't think the Galactic Empire has a barrier, because we hear about the Intergalactic Trading Clan, which seems to indicate that it's between galaxies, and we see two other galaxies in the map of the Star Wars galaxy, and on top of that, the Rebel fleet leaves the Star Wars galaxy. I can't remember the movie. You said you're not talking any truth here. That's a quote. I never implied magic. I see, at any given point, one Death Star and a couple dozen ships waging war on the strongest part of the rebellion. If they have the resources of an entire galaxy, could they do better? I see that. He doesn't understand. I'm disappointed in you, Idazmi. Perhaps the Death Star had a large economic impact. Look, they say the Imperial fleet is spread out over the galaxy. What part of that don't you understand? This isn't representative of the entire Imperial fleet. It's representative of a tiny portion of the Imperial fleet. And as a matter of fact, facing the fact that 3 Imperial Star Destroyers can slag a planet as canon, then, well, I'm not sure. So the 3 Star Destroyers part is canon. All we know is that a Star Destroyer can slag a planet, and it takes about a day. And we know 2 Star Destroyers. Well, the Resurgent class Star Destroyer from The Force Awakens can slag a planet. We also know that 2 Star Destroyers can slag a planet in about a day's time. Considering that, I think this is 27 Star Destroyers was way overkill. Perhaps okay. Simply scan the Death Star, find the exhaust vent, hit the thing from 90,000 kilometers away, and shoot exactly once. What? I'm disappointed. 1, why doesn't the Death Star just jump into hyperspace and, move? It's not like their photon torpedoes are gonna have an infinite range. And 2, they can scan the Death Star and determine its weakness that quickly? I doubt it. At any given point, Federation slips in room drive. At any given point, 1 Death Star and a couple dozen ships waging war on the strongest part of the rebellion. Oh, he just copied that. I see. Scan an entire moon-sized warship made of alien technology, instantly extrapolate its weakness, and then exploit it? Seems legit. Oh wait, no. So this is 2012. If you intend to peddle an argument from a bygone era, then may I suggest you invest in time travel and discover an online zone, I suppose, where such archaic arguments may have been appropriate. We're a sophisticated breed here. They did it to the Dyson Sphere and relics. Starfleet ships are about half a mile long. Half a mile, that's going to do well against the 9-kilometer Star Destroyer. It's actually Super Star Destroyer. Did I say anything inappropriate? Well, yeah, you don't understand. The Imperial fleet was spread out over the galaxy. They don't have just 27 Star Destroyers. Anyway, alright, photon torpedoes wider than 2 meters anyhow. sure, cut that last sentence from its clear context. Wait. Okay, that doesn't anything. To maintain the sad delusion that you did something other than screw up, whatever, everyone else knows what I meant. What are you talking about? They do better than a small corner of the Milky Way. That's why they have Death Stars, 25,000 Star Destroyers, millions of other warships, and a fleet crew of trillions. Wait. Okay, I'm not sure right here this is canon. I think the 25,000 Star Destroyer figure is canon, but I'm not so sure about this. I'm gonna look that up and see if it's still canon. Because I'm not sure if it is. On this Legends. Oh well. Well, how many ships does the Galactic Empire have? Okay. Let's look at space battles. I'm not sure. This guy's estimating about 1 million, or this guy says 25,000. I do think it's about 25,000, although... Alright. Yeah, then. Raise of the Imperial Fleet. It doesn't say anything. Oh well. Yeah. It's okay. Where is the 25,000 Star Destroyer figure? Ah, here. Imperial 1 Star Destroyer, that's a cannon. And where was it? Where does it mention 25,000 of them? Well, we see right here it says at the peak of the Empire over 25,000 Imperial Star Destroyers were in existence. And cannon, okay. Imperial military is a massive organization. Starfleet ships are about half a mile long. I see concepts like volume and how it's different from length is another thing you can't wrap your head around. And they also have more ships available. I guess that's why the Enterprise is the only ship available in like every second episode of Star Trek ever. And he says, no, we know that the Separatists alone plan to build their own Death Star. So it didn't have a economic impact. And I might go through the rest of this thread later, but I think I've spent enough time on it already. I sort of also wanted to go through Idazmi's video on droids, but I think I'll save it for another time.